Hello, welcome to Season 10 of The Horrific Podcast. We're two friends who live in different places but share a love for scary movies. In each episode, we both watch the same movie on our own and then record a conversation together about what we liked, what we hated, if we were scared, and maybe even some larger truths about why people watch horror movies in the first place. This season, our theme is Because We Have the Microphone. And because we have the microphone, you will listen as we discuss a bunch of movies that we just kind of feel like watching with no rhyme or reason. Think of it as a collection of movies that we've referenced a lot in previous seasons or been curious about for a long time. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the episode. Well, this was different.
It
this
absolutely
one
was.
It seemed like a kind of like an Australian Blair Witch.
Yeah, I could see that. It was also like, this is the second movie we watched that like paved the way, I feel like, for like all the Netflix documentaries.
Yeah, it felt like very much like in that style.
Yeah.
That's like really popular now. And a lot of my notes are just around kind of like the way that they put it together. And I think that was really cool. But I had it classified as like found audio a lot of times, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because we talk about like found footage, which would be like Blair Witch, where they put it together. But this one, they were kind of like working in like audio of a 911 call or whatever buttons you dial in Australia when there's an emergency. And it was really interesting because they very much tried to make it like an immersive experience. And it felt a lot like, to your point, a documentary that you would just like randomly come across on Netflix. And Sarah even asked in the beginning, like, "Oh, is this a documentary?" And I said yes. And then a little while later, she said, "No, it's not." And then, but
yeah, I guess I'm not one to talk because I thought I was watching a documentary on it, and then rented the movie, and turns out it was the same thing. I thought it was a documentary as well. It also like reminded me of like same as like ID channel crime shows. Like there's a crime show that Katie likes to watch called Murder Tapes, and it reminded me of that because it does add like the 911 calls and like the interviews and just stuff like that. And it's like, oh, this is also an ID channel.
Yeah,
paid the way for that too.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Interesting. Well, cool. Yeah, so this one was not like a big blockbuster. There's not a lot of information out there around it, but I'll still do my intro, and then if you found any fun facts, you can do those, but then we'll just get into it. This may not be our longest episode, but we'll make the best of it.
Yeah, sounds good.
In 2008, ArcLight Films brought us Lake Mungo, psychological horror film written and directed by Joel Anderson. Lake Mungo tells the story of a family in the aftermath of their teenage daughter's death. The daughter, Alice, drowned while swimming. Over the coming months, the family learns more about her life, death, and afterlife. This movie was made on a budget of 1.7 million Australian dollars and made about 30,000 Australian dollars at the box office. It can currently be streamed on Amazon Prime Video at no additional charge for Prime users.
Very nice. If you were to introduce this as you normally would, you say, let's get into the blank details.
I did. Yeah.
What would it have been for this one? Because I look forward to that every podcast.
Okay. So now that I have done the introduction, we can get into the hoax documentary details.
Nice. Okay.
And that works on a couple levels. Because not only did both you and Sarah think that this movie actually was a documentary, but also there was a hoax in the film that the brother was capturing, which I thought was
very
kind of a
good
nice
point.
twist.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good
hoaxes all the way down.
Yeah. What's funny about like you giving those like the blank details, like when you do the intro, is I look forward to it when we record, but I also look forward to it when I'm editing. Because I like to hear, because I forget it, by the time we edit, and then, but yeah, that's great. I actually didn't have any facts for this film. It's a mixture of, I couldn't really find any, just quick search, and then, lack of sleep from, having a child. So we just won't have any fun facts. But if anyone knows any fun facts about this, send them to us. Let me read them.
Oh, so you've still got the kid?
For now.
Cool. There you go.
Yeah.
So, this movie was interesting. I knew nothing at all about it beforehand.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. It was on a list of, like, most disturbing horror movies. And I don't know that I would classify it on that level, because it had a lot of, like, similar elements. I never really felt like it hit, like, the big everything's crazy and now I'm scared to walk down the hall of my house, like, crescendo of, like, a Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
But I felt like it did have some really clever and interesting twists, but maybe it just kind of got a little slow a few times in between.
Yeah, when I was reading up on the movie, it was talking, like, you know, a few of the articles and stuff I was reading was talking about how it was, like, one of Australians', like, more famous, like, horror films and, you know, this and that. And it was, you know, for me, it was like, I think there's definitely good ideas and stuff there, but just like you're saying, like, I mean, for me, found footage films, I don't know if it's from watching, like, Blair Witch when I was younger or what, like, they mess with you, you know, like, they can get you, you know, pretty scared. And so when I was reading that, I was like, well, this is technically a found footage, but, like, it was more so, like, I don't even know if I would consider it, like, a thriller or maybe, like, a drama, you know, because it was just, like, it just didn't seem like a horror to me, I guess. I mean, as in, like, it was more of a crime documentary, which is what mockumentary, which is what they were trying to get out of it, but at the same time, it was like, I kind of missed the mark for me a little bit. Now, do I think that there was really good ideas in it? 100%. Like even like the stuff with the neighbors and, you know, going into that, but it was just like, this is Australia's, like, scariest horror film, like, in the past decade or however long it's been. I don't think so. Like, I can't agree with that.
Yeah. It's no Babadook.
It's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, Babadook, in my opinion, is way better.
Yeah.
As a horror film and, you know, just as a film in general. But
yeah, I agree in that it definitely didn't keep, like, that sort of edgy or seat horror vibe the whole way through. Yeah. But I still think it did a lot of things well. And one thing I really liked was, like, the some of the acting I thought was really good. Like the dad, when he was, like, being interviewed, and there's, like, that scene where he's talking about leaving the porch light on in case she ever comes home, and he's, like, kind of composing himself and, like, trying to smile, but he also has tears in his eyes. Like, I thought the performance was just very believable, right. Which in, like, a contrived situation like this on a lower budget movie is typically not the case.
Yeah, and initially I was thinking, like, this, and I know we've talked about this, but you can kind of get away with it when it's like a mockumentary, because you're not expecting, you know, you're not expecting, like, Leonardo DiCaprio acting, or, you know, whoever, insert
Samuel L.
Jackson acting. But in that case, like, that scene specifically is what kind of changed my mind on it itself. Like, I was like, okay, well, no, like, that guy, at least right there, is a very good actor. Some of the others is like, are they acting, have they just watched a bunch of ID channel and they're acting like the actual victims of traumatic events? And, you know, like, is that what they based it off? Which, if that's what they did, that's all right. I mean, that's, you know, that learning and acting has to come from somewhere. But for me, it was a little rough in places with the acting, but the dad kind of pulled it together. Yeah, I did like the mom. I thought wasn't quite as strong, but that's fine. From a movie making perspective, you know, we're talking about it. It seems like one of those kind of low budget TV show murder documentaries, and I feel like that's definitely what it was leaning into, and so it could get by with a lot visually, or maybe get by with not a lot visually. It didn't feel like there was a lot of really complicated special effects or anything like that. Yeah. But I did
and I know that this would not be like a high budget type thing to do, but what they did with like the photographs, like kind of the superimposed photographs of the sister and stuff. So the brother, I guess the larger story point is the mom is convinced that it wasn't actually the daughter that died and that she's still alive. So the brother starts setting up these like fake pictures and videos around the house that like show the daughter in them. And they use that as evidence to get the police to exhume the body to prove that it really is her that died, so that the mom can have closure, which seems like a real stretch for like how this would all go down.
Right.
I mean, that's a little over the top in a very roundabout way of proving a point, but that's kind of what was going on. And because of that, there were all these, you know, pictures and videos and things where you could like see the silhouette of the sister, or like she showed up sort of in them. And I felt like that was very consistent, and it was like very kind of grainy, and it just worked for the vibe of the movie. And I thought that was really good and really effective. And on a lower budget movie, it's so easy to have special effects that are distractingly bad that I give it a thumbs up for that. But the real problem I had was the pace. So like, way it was made, way it was shot, way it was acted, all that was fine. It was just the way the story unfolded. There were long bits of time where there was not a lot going on. Yeah. And it's kind of hard to sustain when you don't really have, when you have like a more subtle psychological type movie, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, the first quarter of the film, I felt like consisted of everyone saying like it was just a tragic event. Like I don't know how many times I heard something, or at least in that vein of like, it was just sad. It was like, we get it. We get it. Okay. We understand. But, I mean, I agree. The thing that got me too, cause you know, I'm a fan of unsolved mysteries. That's my jam. Yeah. I love watching that. And because of like the grainy footage and the grainy pictures and stuff, like I was just watching Unsolved Mysteries this morning, and like the old ones, and you know, because I still try to solve mysteries. It's like what I do for fun. Yeah. For 100.
I thought you were up to like 6 or 7.
Oh no, I've struck out every single time. But I will catch someone one day.
I feel like you are roughly like 10 years from committing a crime just so you can solve it.
I don't know what you're talking about. But I know about the perfect crime. Anyway, no, so like, but watching it, it's like, reminded me of that. It was like, okay, yeah, no, this is like, I felt like a documentary based off of some of those older police where you can get away with having grainy footage. Nowadays, if you watch like current ID channel shows, unless it's like, well, I guess murder tapes can get rough because it's like, it seems like everyone's security cam records like 360p, terrible quality. But still, at the same time, it's like, you know, the photos are clear because everyone's phone is high def, you know, all that. But it was like, yeah, they can get away with it. So I didn't have any problem with like the graininess of some of the photos or like videos or anything like that. It was just, I just felt like they dragged ass on telling the plot of what was going on. Like it took forever. And once they got there though, I was happy. I was like, I mean, even the hoax that the brother was doing, it was a little confusing, but it was like, okay, like at least we're getting somewhere. Like, come on.
Yeah, and I think it got better from that point on too, because then there's kind of the reveal of, oh, there's actually another person in the background of that picture that definitely wasn't him, and what's going on with that. And there's kind of the like side mystery of the stuff that was going on with the neighbor, which I don't really understand the point of that from the story perspective, other than it was just like really creepy and sad. Yeah. But then what really is kind of the next piece is, you know, she had gone out to this camp, and I guess while she was there, she had seen like a vision of her own drowned corpse that you had already seen in the movie that happened later. And then I guess at that point, from that point forward, felt like, you know, death had been following her or something. And, I don't know, like it was, it reminded me almost of like the kind of the twist or the ending of Interstellar, like it was almost like she was having visions of her family after she had died when she was talking to the psychic before or something. Like there was some kind of weird like time component that I didn't quite like super understand the point of. Like I get that they were trying to be creepy and I think they were successful with that. It was just weird to me. Like it never felt like, oh, that's what they were going for, you know?
Well, and here's the confusing thing as well as like, you know, in reading, trying to read up on the film and like just, you know, go into the different sites to check the ratings and stuff like that to see what other people thought of it, which I don't normally do, but being that I couldn't find too many facts that, you know, I was trying to dig deep, but it has like a extremely high approval rating, and it made me think like, is this really high because it's considered like a mystery or like a thriller, or is it because if we were to consider a horror, I don't think it would necessarily be that high. And I don't know if it's necessarily this film's fault or if it's the fact that, you know, we've had really good found footage films come out like Blair Witch and Paranormal and Wreck, you know, just those. So like, which has like horror action, you know, action that's horror. So it was like for this it just seemed like it was kind of a little lackluster. And there were the confusing things that were going on, like the neighbor situation, which is yet again, that's interesting. That would be more of a cop, or a ID channel, you know, show thing happening, which would be like a huge twist in the film or in the show.
Yeah. I was waiting for that to be like a thing that, unlocked another thing.
Right.
And maybe it was just like after that, they were like, well, what else are we, what else did we miss, or what else was there going on in her life that we didn't know about? And so it was motivation for them to investigate more, but it just still seemed like a odd thing to add.
Yeah, I mean, because it was also strange because, you know, when they're talking about it, they're like, yeah, we saw him in there. I mean, so like the recording that the brother was doing did help out because it caught him, but it was also like, so we went through her safe, and it was like, wait, why would you not have gone through that sooner? Like, if you thought something strange was happening, I don't know. Like, I feel like I would have gone through it.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you would have found the tape, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, here's the other thing. There's something serious is like, if you ever are in a situation like that, then, you know, tell the authorities too. Like, if you don't feel safe, I mean, I understand, but like, just know that you will be safe. It's just sad. That's like sad in my opinion, but it just kind of, that whole scene itself just kind of threw off the vibe of it. Now I was excited when it happened because I thought it was going somewhere.
Yeah.
And then
like,
once I
finally
realized,
some plot, some development, you know. Like,
and once I realized it wasn't, I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, we could have saved 30 minutes now if we excluded all that. It was just a sad situation too. And then this, like, yeah, that would have saved some time.
Yeah.
Some filler, that's what it was.
Now, I did really like at the end where they were going back and showing, like, previous scenes from the movie, but like showing clever. the ghost in the background and stuff. And that reminded me a lot of the first season of The Haunting of Hill House.
Same. Yep.
You know, where you, like, the whole time you're like, oh, I need to go back and rewatch this and, like, see all the places that I missed. This one I wasn't motivated to actually go through and rewatch it because it was kind of a lot to sit through the first time.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I think that was a cool thing to put in at the end.
Yeah, I literally had, wrote down was like, I wish that Haunting of Hill House would have done this. You know, granted.
Oh, like showed at the end where some of them were?
Where they were. Like at the end of the series, just like, oh, I remember that scene. I wish that they had done that. But, I mean, that's awesome though, because it's like either you're going to catch it during the scene or, you know, at the end you'll be like, oh shoot. But yeah, very interesting film. It was done. Here's the other thing. I just gotta say this. I really like the Australian accent.
I was gonna say, I really like the Australian scenery.
Should we just move there, do you think?
Beautiful country, beautiful people. What's not to like?
Right. So we're in.
Yeah.
All right. Damn, that's awesome. I can't wait.
Like, basically the only people that listen to this podcast live in Australia anyway, so we might as well just fully...
We're coming home, babies.
Yeah, exactly.
Mama and Dada's on the way.
We need to buy a movie theater.
Yeah.
Need to hold screenings of the movies that we like.
Yeah.
Or, hear me out.
Yeah.
What if, instead of doing this podcast, we just buy an Australian movie theater, we watch a movie, anybody that wants to come can for free, because that's how much this podcast costs, and then afterwards we just talk about it in front of everybody, and then we don't have to do any editing.
That's a really good point. And also, we could, serve... Like, I could just see us sitting out there with a cold one, maybe listen to Aka Deka,
Fosters.
Couple little ankle biters running around, probably having some brekkie because, I love that, and just sitting around, just doing the Aussie salute, I got Australian slang terms pulled up on my computer right now.
I want to go on a kangaroo hunt.
Well, that's not Australian slang. A cold one's beer. Aka Deka is AC/DC. Ankle biter's child.
Oh, okay.
Aussie salute is waving to scare flies. Brekkie is breakfast. I do love breakfast too. That's 100% true statement.
Here's the thing. Breakfast is my fourth favorite meal of the day.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's
I'm
your
just
first?
not big on it. Oh, dinner. Dinner, everything's kind of
Really?
about dinner. Lunch, I'm just passing time. Midnight snack, the best. But breakfast is like,
Breakfast, see, that's my favorite.
Well.
So I'll cover breakfast when we do movies in the morning, and you cover dinners.
Yeah, deal.
Yeah, sweet.
Also, we would like to thank our unofficial sponsor, Real Good, for helping us have a real good time while we're watching these movies. If you download the app Real Good, you can look up movies, and it'll tell you what streaming services it's on, and then you don't have to pay for them because you can't find them. So they don't actually pay us, but they do save us money, which is almost the same thing. So we will recommend using the free version, which is what we do.
Yeah. It also screwed me up this time, but I won't hold it against them. But just since sounds like we're wrapping this up, can I just ask you if you want to guess what the Australian slang for annoyed is?
Pissed.
Pissed off.
Oh, there you go.
That's the world slang, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, they did it before it was cool.
You're
now it's
pissing me
everywhere.
off. I say that every day to my wife.
Yeah. So, you're basically Australian already. We'll move.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, catch us next time. Live from the downunder.
We'll see you tomorrow, right? Birthday day ahead.
And that's it for today's episode. If you've listened this far, then thank you, and we hope you've enjoyed it. We're always looking for new ideas, so if you have any questions, comments, or movie suggestions, please send us an email at thehorrificpod@gmail.com, or feel free to comment on or message our Facebook page. Just search for The Horrific Podcast. Thanks for listening.
We are recording Lake Mungo.
In my notes, I call it Lake Mungus.
I like it.